What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here, wearing a hat because I was feeling a little inadequate because...
I'm here with Gershwin.
Yeah, Gershwin has a hat too.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, two hat-wearing guys doing another for the greater...
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That is what Pizarz Miloski has done. He asks, what kind of proof do we have that the Emperor indeed protects? What miracles or other manifestations to support the faith? That's a really good question, and it's a question that... I guess it's like if you come from a skeptical perspective, it just makes sense. But the reality is that, no, yeah, the Emperor does protect.
Yeah, there are many different ways that the Emperor is here to help humanity. And I think the biggest one is literally belief. Mm-hmm. Humanity is given hope just by the Emperor existing and having kind of a tangibility to it, but not quite. Like, sure. you believe that he's sitting on the golden throne. And so because of that, I mean, he technically is, but because of that faith, humanity is just going crazy with the amount of beliefs and prayers and like just overall powering the warp emperor. Exactly. And in turn, it helps humanity because the stronger the emperor gains warp ability wise, the stronger the army of the light, so to speak, becomes, and the more miracles he can give to his sisters of battle, as well as the saints gaining power and the ability to resurrect.
Right, yeah. And I think one of the biggest thing is the Astronomicon, right?
Yes.
So, like, it is a beacon in the light for the navigators. Without it, Imperial travel just doesn't exist. You can't travel from Terra to Fenris to, Catachan, whatever it may be. It is that beacon of light within the warp that shows that, yes, the Emperor is protecting you. Mm-hmm. Now, for the average citizen, there's also the tales of, like, the Legion of the Damned, which are actually, like, they're saints, right? And, like, kind of what you said, saints, too. Mm-hmm. Saints themselves manifesting, Saint Celestine showing up after she's been dead. That's an example of, like, the Emperor is truly protecting.
Right.
Yeah.
So... you could say, well, what if this is just something else? What if this isn't actually the Emperor? I mean, you could be right, but everything we've seen so far kind of leads us to believe that it is the Emperor doing this. Yeah.
And then also, like, it's one of those things where the Emperor created the Imperium, and the Imperium exists protecting humanity from Xenos, protecting from humanity from, like, the enemy within, kind of. So in a way, it's almost like we would say, thank God that the church existed because it guided us, kind of thing. Yeah. So it's like this. He established the Imperium, therefore the Imperium protects. Yeah. But yeah. Good question.
Very interesting.
Next one.
This one is by Arya8165. Has there been any new lore recently about the space monkeys, aka the Jokero? Are there any of them left alive, and how do you think it is for someone to get their hands on one of their famous digi-weapons? So if you don't know, the Jokero weaponsmith is a Xenos, even though they look like orangutans. But no, they are a highly advanced, very technologically adept Xenos that can pretty much take any piece of like junk or technology and refashion it into a very powerful piece of technology that is literally years ahead of what humanity can do. They can take a tin can, some paper clips, some gum, and maybe that little bit of, goo you get in the back of your throat and make that into a las cannon, but in the form of a pinky ring.
Yeah. And new lore, not really. Right?
Yeah.
No.
The most we get from them, like in the current setting, is just like they're part of an Inquisitor's retinue.
Right. Also, we have the Warhammer Adventures.
Yes, and I think there's one in there too.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. And how can you get your hands on it? You just you need to befriend the Xenos.
Yeah, because a lot of times we do have a 40 facts on the Jokero weaponsmith that I did somewhat recent, maybe like 6 months ago. But yeah, basically a lot of pirates would kidnap Jokero from their home planet and kind of force them into creating and tinkering and stuff like that for them. Because to have digi weapons, it's like it's vastly important, and it gives them power, and if they sell it, it could be worth a lot on the black market and stuff like that. So the Jokero are kind of hunted off and trapped for that. But they don't just make it because you're forcing them to. They could just create a means of escape, a means to a bomb and just, obliterate everybody, their captors and stuff like that. So yeah, you really do have to befriend a Jokero so that they could make you what you want them to make you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about befriending the Xenos, something that GW does, or the Imperium doesn't want you to do.
Right.
Next question comes from Individual. What if the reason the Tau advanced so quickly is because they found an STC? The problem with that is that an STC normally has the required information to build or to colonize a planet with whatever resources that they have. And it seems that the Tau, they're missing a very important element of that, and that's warp travel.
Yep.
So why, if it was an STC, most STCs would give you the information to a warp drive.
Yeah. Or at least some type of faster than light travel.
Right, yeah.
The way it's kind of given to us via the lore is that the Tau were a primitive race. They were almost on the verge of killing each other off, but these lights in the sky appeared, and it was the Ethereals. Yeah. The Ethereals then guided basically civilization, technology, and every aspect of the Tau to become this highly advanced society in just a fraction of the time it took other races, such as humanity, to propel to that point in technology.
Right, yeah. So the possibility is like slim, but like the lore does not support that.
Right. Yeah. Another interesting thing that I just wanted to point out there is maybe some type of like innovation and technology that the Tau were doing is what drove to create Vashtor, the Archephane, the demigod of like technology and creation and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Next one.
I've got one by Counting Cards. Are the opinions on psychers, aka librarians, from all the Space Marine chapters known? Like, do most people from the Black Templars don't like them? But are there any chapters that have lots of librarians?
Yeah. There was one chapter that was like mostly psychers, but I think GW got rid of it, and now we only have the Grey Knights.
Yeah, Grey Knights, everybody's a psycher. Thousand Suns, they're all pretty much psychers, but of course, they went to the Chaos. I know the Ultramarines have some pretty powerful psychers amidst their ranks. The Blood Angels do as well. So yeah, I mean, it's very, for the most part, most chapters will acknowledge and embrace the psyker within. But there are some that just hate having psychers around, like you said, the Black Templars. And when it comes to the Space Wolves, they don't call them psychers or librarians. They're called
Rune Priests.
Rune Priests, yeah. And it has to do more with like the beliefs, the teachings of Fenris than actually a psyker from like the Imperium, their notion of it.
Right, yeah. Good question, though. Next one.
This one is by Justin Weber. Can an Agron become an Astarte?
No, Astarte gene seed is tailored towards human stock. So, like, an Agron is not human; he's abhuman. So there's no way that like he would pass the process of indoctrination, I guess, or implantation.
Right. The body won't accept the gene seed organs and stuff like that. So it'll just be a literal waste on both having the gene seed being implanted and the Agron, just 100% guaranteed dying.
Yeah. Also, just the intelligence, because you get psycho-indoctrinated as a recruit. So, psycho-indoctrinating an Agron is just it's pointless.
Yeah.
An Agron does not think like a human.
Right.
Yeah.
This next one is by the big one. So Kool-Aid is my all-time favorite drink, but every time I go to a fancy restaurant, they never have it. Are my standards just way too high?
No, you just need to order better. High C is Kool-Aid.
Or just take a packet with you and ask for water.
Water with a lemon. That way they know you're fancy.
Exactly. Not lime.
Next one comes from, let's see, Twisted Jane. Any idea why Erebus hasn't gotten a model yet, and why he is so underrated in 40K lore compared to other Chaos Marines and 30K? I mean, he is the reason why 40K is what it is. So Erebus is still alive, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that part of the heresy yet, but I think he's either alive or he died right before like the current timeline.
Yeah. And I think the reason for that is just because he's a named character that I think has plot, not armor, because he doesn't exist, but he has a plot.
Yeah.
and he needs to fulfill that plot kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, that is crazy to think that pretty much the guy responsible for the Imperium to shatter and become chaos and loyalists and stuff like that, like, he doesn't really have a model. I mean, you can make him. It's not hard to make him. You just got to, like, have a really fine brush and put all the little tattoos on his face. But yeah, it always baffled me why a very important character in the history of 40K isn't as renowned or even well known. Because when you ask people, why is the reason, the Space Marines and the Primarchs turned to chaos? They'll probably tell you Horus.
Right, not the case.
No, not the case. It was actually Erebus.
Yeah. I also don't like the 30K model, the Forge World model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He looks kind of goofy.
Resin.
Yeah, his face.
But
weird.
supposedly they're going to be coming out with new models,
Plastic.
new plastic and stuff like that for the Horus Heresy. So we'll just have to wait and see.
For sure. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening and commenting.
Yeah, and as always, guys, please remember to like, comment, share, and give us more questions for the new year. Happy 2023. That's what it is. As always, it's the Sound Alchemist with Gershwin, and we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first, and then